Hello and welcome to this week's video. This week I want to talk about the importance of your core abdominal muscles. When I'm telling you and talking you through getting ready, getting into a good stance, I always mention engage your core abdominal muscles, which kind of means a slight pelvic tilt like that. Why is that important? Well, I've often said that your core abdominal muscles are basically the only thing that's supporting your spine all the way from there to there where you've actually got your rib cage beginning. That part of you, you've just got your spine and a lot of important organs. So having core muscles here actually helps support your lower back and helps prevent things like disc prolapse, which can cause sciatica. So that's one very important reason why I talk about your core abdominal muscles and the importance of posture, because if you've got strong core abdominal muscles, it's much easier to maintain good posture from a purely physical aspect. But there is also an energetic aspect. I've spoken before about how in traditional Chinese medicine, this area, which is called, from there down, is called the lower dantian, or sometimes just the dantian. And this is where your qi is believed to reside. Now, these movements that we do when we're doing Shibashi Qigong, when we're doing any form of Qigong, is to help move your qi around your body, to keep your qi flowing properly, to make sure everything's balanced, because any illness, whether physical or mental, is seen as being due to an imbalance or blockage in your energy flow. So that means that there has to be a way of pushing your energy around your body. You can move it with your breath, you can move it with your imagination, and both of those are things that I use both in one-to-one classes and also in these videos. But there is a third important aspect. Now, we all know that you need a strong, healthy heart muscle to help make sure that blood gets pumped around your body. For heart muscle, replace strong abdominal muscles, and that's exactly what happens in Qigong. These muscles help to push the energy around your body because they're strong. They can push it out. So when you use your breath and your imagination to help move the energy from one place to another, there's a strong muscular push behind it. There is also a very good reason, physical reason, why strong abdominal muscles are important. I'm going to demonstrate this with a move that we don't normally do in this set, but which is part of the full Shibashi set, a move called the palm push. It's a very simple move, and I'm demonstrating it very badly deliberately because it looks as if you're pushing across your body, and as you turn, and at the moment I'm turning from the hips, slightly extend my arm so that, and it's called the palm push, and the temptation is to say that you push across your body. So you've got movement in your hips and you're also using your shoulders. Now, while gentle movements of hips and shoulders are important, and that is one aspect of what we do in Qigong, the real movement in something like the palm push should actually come from the core. So if you want to just practice this now, get yourself into a good stance. Get one hand, get your right hand out in front of you. Now, that hand should stay in the same relative position to your chest at all times. So actually, there should be no movement from the shoulder. So take a breath in, then as you breathe out, you turn from the waist, keeping your hips, knees and toes nicely lined up. You turn from the waist. You're turning from the waist, so the push is coming from the muscles. I often tell you to imagine that you are breathing energy along your arm and out through your palm. And so the push comes from the strong core muscles and the rest comes from your mind, your breath and your imagination. And your hips should stay perfectly still and there should be no movement in your shoulder at all. The core abdominal muscles should be some of the strongest we have, and they're designed to take the strain. So when you use your core abdominal muscles to give a bit of oomph to what your hand and arm are doing, you've actually got a lot more power behind it, and you save your arm and your shoulder and your wrist from problems. So that's one reason, one very important reason why the core abdominal muscles are important. And this is what you do when you turn from the waist. You're actually helping to strengthen the core abdominal muscles. So that's a useful exercise to see if you can strengthen them and get used to moving like that. There is another very good reason why using your waist and these muscles is important. We now know, modern medicine has shown, that an awful lot of the chronic illnesses that we're plagued with in the world today, things like type 2 diabetes, heart failure, and chronic heart problems like high blood pressure and things, are made worse because there is fat that gets deposited in this area, and we now know that belly fat is a very good indicator of health problems. The fat gets deposited around those muscles, around those organs, which stops those organs working properly. And a gentle turn from the waist actually provides a little bit of massage that can physically break up some of that fat. So, in the sets that I normally do, the 4 moves that I demonstrate in these videos, we don't do any turning from the waist. Talk to me nicely, and I could actually extend this set by a couple of moves, so it would include at least one turning from the waist move. But there is a very simple exercise that you can do to help yourself get used to turning from the waist. So just get yourself into a good bear stance, feet hip width apart, knees slightly relaxed, feet parallel and pointing forward. I'm just checking mine because my stance tends to fall out fairly easily. Just let your arms hang loosely by your side and just practice turning from the waist, really focusing on keeping your hips, knees and toes in line. It's difficult at first, but as you loosen up and as you get used to doing it, you will discover that your arms naturally want to swing. So you're not doing that. You're not swinging your arms and letting your body follow. You are just standing there, your arms are long, loose, light and empty, the phrase that I always use about your arms in Qigong. And as you turn from the waist, they just naturally tend to follow. So even if you don't have time or don't feel you have time every day to spend the half hour doing a little bit of Qigong, a little bit of mindfulness that I do in these videos, just take 2 minutes every day. Just get into good stance, turn from the waist, because that helps to strengthen your core abdominal muscles and that will help you in general life. So, without more ado, let's get on with our Shibashi set and the mindfulness meditation. So, get yourself standing in a good stance, turn the phone off, try to make sure you're not going to be disturbed. Remind yourself, this is your time. This is something that you are doing for you because you're worth it. I keep telling you you're worth it. I hope you're starting to believe it by now. So get yourself into your good stance. Try to get your core muscles engaged. Get your back nice and straight. Get your neck nice and straight, and then tuck your chin in so that the crown of your head is pointing up at the ceiling. And just get used to that stance and just breathe. Close your eyes if you want to. And just for a moment, just focus on making sure that you're in as good a stance as possible. Send your awareness down to your feet. Make sure that your weight is evenly distributed, that you're not leaning in on your ankles or leaning out on your ankles, that both feet are flat on the floor. If you're sitting down, same thing still applies. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor. And if for whatever reason you cannot sit or stand in a perfect posture, just do what works for you. Necessary, just use your imagination to imagine that you're sitting or standing in that perfect posture. Then I'd like you to imagine that you're in that beautiful lift. That lift that has got glass walls. And from that lift you can look out over the most beautiful countryside. You feel relaxed and calm. And then with every out breath, just want you to imagine that every time you breathe out, that lift slowly starts floating down. Floor by floor by floor. Until it reaches the ground. And then when you're ready, let your arms hang loosely by your side. Just gently turn your arms from the shoulders so that your palms are facing backwards. If you're seated and you want to have them on your lap, that's fine. And then we're letting everything flow from your breath. When you're ready, with your next in-breath, just slowly let your arms float out in front of you. And as you breathe out, just let them slowly sink all the way down. There's no rush. Find your own breath and your own rhythm. Just let everything naturally flow from your breath. So as you breathe in, it's almost as if your arms float out all on their own. And as you breathe out, they just gently sink back down. And every breath, try to get a sense of your core abdominal muscles expanding. And then as you breathe out, they just get a bit smaller. So try to imagine almost a concertina opening up and then closing down, very, very slight. So as you breathe in, your arms float out in front of you. As you breathe out, they gently sink back down, and then we'll do this move twice more in your own time and with your own breath. And then when you've done those last moves, just let your hands slowly sink down by your sides. Just check that your arms are nice and long and loose and light and weightless. And then we'll move on to move 2, which starts the same. So with the in-breath, your arms float up. Then as you breathe in, let them float out. And as you breathe out, everything floats back in and back down. Make this movement very small if you like. If you can, easily, as you breathe in, get your arms all the way out like that. That's absolutely fantastic. But if all you can do is really just a gentle turn of your shoulder to straighten your hands up and then let them sink back down, that's fine. Small is beautiful in Qigong. Do this move twice more. Breathing in, your arms float up and drift apart. Then on the out breath, they just float back in and back down. And when you've done the move twice more, just let your hands hang loose and light. And maybe wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Just check everything is nice and relaxed. Then with your next in-breath, raise your arms up as high as it's comfortable for you to take them. Don't hunch your shoulders, don't cause your shoulders any discomfort. Imagine that you're holding a ball of energy between your hands. Then when you're ready, on your next out breath, just sink slightly down on your left hand side as your right arm uncurls and opens out. And as you breathe in, everything comes back to the centre. Then do the same on the other side. And if you're doing this move seated, can you maybe just imagine just a little bit more weight on the side that we're sinking on? Or if you like, slightly raise the heel on the same side as the arm that you're uncurling. I'll do this move once more on each side. As you breathe in, everything comes back to the centre. Then on the out breath, turn your palms outwards and let your arms sweep all the way down by your side. And as you breathe in, your arms float up again. As you breathe out, they sink all the way back down. Again, make the circles as big or as small as you're comfortable with. Only take your arms as high as you're comfortable with. And with every in-breath, can you imagine the accordion that is your abdominal muscles just expanding slightly? And as you breathe out, imagine them just slowly relaxing down. Imagine the accordion opening up, and then imagine it just closing down. Remember, small is beautiful in Qigong. A small circle like that, if it's done with the correct breath, is just as good than a big circle like that, if doing that big circle means that you're stretching. And then we'll do this move twice more. And let your arms hang long and loose and light. And then when you're ready, bring your arms up in front of your belly, getting ready to balance your chi. So this time as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that you're feeling around a small ball, and as you breathe out, imagine you push that ball underwater. Keep this movement small. Be careful to take your hands no higher than your heart. Remember, you're balancing your energy back into that lower dantian.